Hey, everybody. I don't know if you remember when we had Dan Cohen on last time to talk about Haiti. He warned that Kenya was going to send a death squad to Haiti to start killing the people who were fighting against the establishment. Well, I want to tell you something. It happened. Breaking, the first 400 Kenyan police officers have arrived in Haiti to be the backbone of the U.S. engineered and funded occupation designed to keep Haiti mired in poverty. You want to see a little bit of it? So let me bring in Dan Cohen. He's the independent journalist, filmmaker based in D.C. He is now currently operates his own journalistic outlet, Uncaptured Media, and his latest documentary is titled Haiti: Intervention versus Revolution. Welcome back to the show, Dan Cohen. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks a lot, Jimmy. Good to be with you.
Okay, so now these 400 people that got sent here by Kenya to Haiti, are they actual criminals?
Well, I don't think they've been convicted in any kind of court. They are Kenyan police. They are called the Kenyan police paramilitary, and they have basically they made the cut of who was allowed among the Kenyan police to come be part of this mission. You couldn't have more than I believe 3 criminal convictions. So these are the best and brightest of the Kenyan police.
So these are the cops who have less than 3 criminal convictions.
Oh yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. So actually, yeah, you're right. Many of them very well may be convicted criminals.
So when I tweeted this out, I just retweeted breakthrough news saying that the first 400 Kenyan police officers have arrived in Haiti to be the backbone of the U.S. engineered and funded occupation designed to keep Haiti mired in poverty. I really don't think that that's controversial in a rational world, right?
It's to weaken Russia, right?
So the community notes said this is a UN-backed contingent, not a U.S. engineered and funded occupation. As stated by this clearly disinformation account, Haiti has consistently grappled with poverty influenced by factors like political instability, natural disasters, and economic mismanagement.
And the Clinton Foundation.
And the Clinton Foundation. And the United States. And the infiltration. So, by the way, I retweeted that, and I tagged Elon Musk, and I said that clearly the CIA has learned how to game and infiltrate the community note system. But
it wasn't hard.
And I tagged Elon. Guess what? The community note went away.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I'm gonna get that brain chip.
So let me just read a little bit of this anti-war article by Kyle Anzalone. Biden hopes Kenyan police will stabilize Haiti as chaos erupts in Nairobi. Now, Dan, that is not what Biden actually hopes, right?
No, the whole idea is to maintain the chaos in Haiti. Haiti has, for a few years, been undergoing a process of ridding itself of chaos imposed by foreign powers, namely the United States, going back decades. And this is the exact chaos that the U.S. wants to impose so it can basically maintain its cheap supply of sweatshop labor, so it can prevent, any kind of popular leader from coming to power and having Haiti reclaim its sovereignty and choose its own path.
So, are you familiar with what's happening in Kenya right now?
Yeah, there's a huge uprising against the government, which has just rolled out its budget proposal for the year, which includes a whole bunch of austerity measures that crush the population even more.
So, because the subheadline here is proposed reforms to tax laws triggered massive protests in Kenyan capital, leading to numerous deaths. So
yeah,
they've got a lot of unrest happening in Kenya right now, and they're exporting their cops to Haiti. That doesn't make sense. So what's really happening is the United States is using Kenya as a proxy instead of sending in Marines to go do the bidding of the imperialists, right?
Exactly.
And so what you showed us is that the what they call the gangs in Haiti, which are actually the people joining together to fight against the oppressive oligarchs. They call them gangs. And so they're doing this under the guise of we're trying to stop the gang violence. Although the gang violence has stopped, they've come together, correct?
I mean, it's not like totally black and white that the so-called gang violence has stopped. I mean, there are different armed groups that have been fighting for years. However, I mean, like we talked about last time, Jimmy Cherizier, aka Barbecue, his whole program for the last 4 years or so has been trying to convince and compel these disparate armed groups to stop fighting, and he succeeded in a big way, but not 100%. So it's kind of this ongoing process that he's trying to get the guys that he was fighting against, the criminal armed groups, to stop committing crimes and have a revolution. And so that's a constant thing. I mean, if you remember about 6 weeks ago, for example, there was a YouTuber named Your Fellow Arab who went to Haiti in a really haphazard and pretty foolish way and ended up getting kidnapped by an armed group called 400 Mauzo, which is one of the biggest kidnapping groups. And then, so what happened is, as far as I know, I don't know. He put a documentary out about it. I didn't end up watching the whole thing because I didn't really want to pay for it. But I when I saw that this guy had been kidnapped, myself and Kim Ives, my colleague at Haiti Liberté, we called Jimmy Cherizier, and he basically sprung into action to get this guy freed. Him and his Haitian fixer. And just in a WhatsApp group, he basically got 400 Mauzo to release this guy. There was some ransom paid before that had happened, but before that, it would have just been, there's no way to do it. He would have been out of luck. So it's certainly a better situation than it was before. That doesn't mean everything is perfect in Haiti, but none of it justifies a foreign intervention, which is just police death squads from another country. They say they want to fight gangs, so they're sending a much bigger gang to do it. It doesn't make any sense.
And so what this really is the United States, the Biden administration, the imperialists, they have a puppet government in place right now in Haiti, and they want to keep it that way, right? A puppet government that oppresses the people and sells them out to corporations, right?
Yeah, there isn't a single elected official in Haiti for a couple of years now. And they keep saying, oh, we're going to have elections in a couple of years. We need to get a government, an interim government in, and they pledge they'll hold elections. But in order to do that, we have to send in a foreign invasion so there can be security to have elections. So the U.S.'s whole game is to basically establish a 10-year military occupation using Kenyans and forces from a number of other countries, of other proxies, to do the dirty work, and then it can basically control the elections. So then it can, falsely claim that there's some kind of democracy.
It's like what they do here.
Yeah. So
right.
So what is the United States using as a bribe to get the Kenyan government to go along with this?
Well, they gave the Kenyans hundreds of millions of dollars, I've heard it's 300 million from one source. I've heard it's 500 million. I mean, the president of Kenya his name is William Ruto. A lot of Kenyans believe that he was put into power, basically that the U.S. tipped the scales in his favor. He shouldn't be in power. He's a totally illegitimate president, is what a lot of people believe. And he's basically kind of like a Zelensky type figure. He came to
a hero,
US.
you mean?
Yeah. A total hero. He came to the U.S. about a month ago. On May 23rd, he appeared with Biden, which is the first time an African head of state had been invited to Washington in 15 years. So it shows how much the U.S. respects its puppets in Africa. But he actually got rejected he requested an appearance in Congress, and Republicans rejected him. He didn't even get to do that. So he's like a low grade Zelensky kind of figure. totally corrupt. And so, I mean, he's a puppet of the U.S., so he does what the U.S. says, and I'm sure they greased it up pretty good for him.
So let me just go through this article from antiwar.com, and you interject where you want, Dan.
All right.
As the first wave of Kenyan police arrived in Haiti on a mission to restore order, security forces in Nairobi opened fire on protesters, leaving at least 5 dead. On Tuesday, armed Kenyan police arrived in Haiti for a U.S.-supported mission aimed at taking power from gangs and handing it back to the Washington-installed government in Port-au-Prince. President Biden celebrated their arrival in a statement, and he says, with strong support from the... Hey, look at there. With strong support there from the U.S. Kenyan forces. Huh?
Kenny's going to go with the
Okay.
guy. He's there.
Yeah, you know the thing. U.S. Kenyan forces, part of the multinational security support mission, arrived in Haiti, beginning an effort that will bring much-needed relief to Haitians. Oh, it's all about helping. They're helping the people, Dan. What are you being, an asshole? This mission will support the Haitian National Police as they increase their anti-gang operations.
What do you mean relief? Would they give him a hand job?
Right. They're going to give a reach around. Washington got the approval from the UN Security Council to deploy the... How the fuck did the UN... Why would the UN Security Council approve this? I mean, anybody has veto power. Why wouldn't Russia veto this? You think?
Yeah, the Russians did not veto it because basically a number of Caribbean countries went along with it, because some African countries went along with it too, when basically they saw it as they have limited diplomatic sort of cachet. They can only use so much. They can't veto every single thing they don't like at the UN Security Council. It's just, real politics, I guess.
What about China? What about China?
The Chinese are also skeptical of it. So both of those countries abstained. They didn't vote in support of it, but they didn't veto it. So
okay.
Don't forget, most countries are racist and don't care about these people.
That's
you got to
right.
figure that
You have to remember that too. Sure, and it's not in their hemisphere. UN peace. I mean, go ahead.
Let me say, to be fair, the Russians have been extremely open and are very, very aware of what's happening there. They're not just like, this is the other side of the world. This is by the U.S. This is not, we don't care. They're very interested in what's happening there. So it's not that the Russians nor the Chinese, are just kind of like hands off. It's just, or that they don't care. It's just a matter of geopolitics.
So let's remind people, UN peacekeepers have a dark history in Haiti, including creating a cholera outbreak that killed 10,000 Haitians.
What a relief.
They're there to give relief. Additionally, the previous multinational force deployed to Haiti committed rampant sexual assault against the Haitian women.
Does the relief ever stop?
Then relief never stops. Oh, the White House claims the current mission has important accountability and oversight measures.
They're filming it?
Can I interject there?
Yeah.
I mean, when the U.S. was pushing for the UN Security Council to approve this mission, they kept saying, we've learned so many lessons from the last the UN mission that went from 2014 to 2017 and then morphed and stayed until 2019, and that included raping boys and girls. And none of this was ever punished. There was never any accountability. So now they were saying then, we've learned our lesson. We're not going to make those same mistakes again. Now, the status of forces agreement that was just signed by the Haitian puppet government that was not elected, and the Kenyan government that very well may have been appointed by the United States, that status of forces agreement says that the participants in this mission have total legal impunity. They have 100% legal impunity, number one. And then number two, the thing that just came out today, there's like a big Canadian NGO that already saying that, the gangs are going to use human shields. They've embedded themselves within the population, as if there's some like completely separate phenomenon than the people living in the poor neighborhoods. That's who they are. Those are people.
The gangs are from the neighborhoods.
Yeah, exactly. They're preemptively justifying massacres by this mission against the Haitian masses. That's exactly what they're doing. So they're already telegraphing it, and they're going to have total impunity to do this. So it's all just, a big lie.
Wait, are you telling me there's not going to be accountability when you outsource this to Kenyan cops?
Jesus Christ.
Right. And I wrote a piece back in October where I examined the relatively recent history of Kenyan police death squads. And that's not even my term. That was the term used by the UN Special Rapporteur, Philip Alston, back in 2009. He wrote a big report on the existence of police death squads, and the Kenyans, the Kenyan human rights figures who actually collaborated and gave him information, they were executed in their car like a block away from a police station after he left. There have been Kenyan cops who were part of these death squads who blew the whistle, and then they were murdered and disappeared. And so every few years, what's happened in Kenya is there's some death squad that's found out, and it turns out these were paid and acting on the orders of Kenyan politicians who are tied to the U.S. And then they say, "Oh, we disbanded that death squad," and they reshuffle the cops among the greater police body. And then it turns out there's a new death squad, and then there's another and another, and so they still exist to this day. And I think even just the numbers I've seen in this current uprising against these IMF imposed measures that the Kenyan government is going along with is, I think, 23 or maybe 26 people have already been killed, including people just executed on the street.
Well, even the State Department's Human Rights Report on Kenya identified numerous crimes committed by Nairobi security forces. And right now, Kenyans have been in the streets for weeks in opposition to a proposed tax hike of 16% on bread and 25% on cooking oil. On Tuesday, well, the seed oils aren't good for them anyway. On Tuesday, clashes erupted between protesters and police after the tax increase was passed. Protesters broke through police lines and stormed the Parliament building, which was partially set ablaze. Police opened fire on the rioters, killing 5. Security forces also deployed less lethal crowd control weapons, leading to injuries. The half-sister of former President Barack Obama was tear-gassed.
Well, imagine if it was his full sister, how bad it would be.
Wow. I saw that video, by the way. Kenyan President William Ruto denounced the protesters as an existential threat to our republic and said their actions were treasonous.
They don't have a republic. They didn't vote for you.
But he said he deployed the military across the country to restore order. And here's what you say: there isn't a more corrupt and brutal police force in Africa than Kenya. A UN investigation called them death squads. They've murdered and disappeared protesters on orders of politicians. That's why Biden is sending those murderous motherfuckers to Haiti.
Can't the Clinton Foundation do something?
As Kenyan's police land in Haiti, other elements of this same brutal force are violently repressing protests with live ammo and tear gas in Nairobi. Has the United States merely replaced one set of gangs with another? Asks. Yeah, of course they have.
That's rhetorical, I hope.
Yeah. So here's a little...
No, actually,
hang on. Go ahead. What?
The guy who runs that account, Kevin Pina, who did good reporting a few decades ago, he's serious. He thinks that, he's basically pro-intervention.
Really?
He considers himself some kind of anti-imperialist. He's basically a fraud. But he says, oh, these are gangs and they're all backed by the CIA. And that's been basically the ultra left position, that, none of the ultra left, has bothered to go actually, do the reporting in Haiti and go talk to these alleged gang leaders or so-called gang leaders. And he's among them. So he's just totally convinced that they're tools to justify this intervention. But it doesn't make any sense. Like, why, if they were tools, why would you need an intervention to go send them in? What is the target of the intervention? So anyway,
So I'm not going to show this video because it'll get us demonetized. Let's go. Irony is you send police to Haiti to face armed gangs, then deploy the army to help police in Kenya deal with unarmed kids.
Well, that just sounds like a synergy kind of.
Yeah. As Ruto's police kill unarmed protesters in the streets of Nairobi, In Kenya, another contingent of the same force arrives in Haiti for peacekeeping operations against gangs. Only the United States government could contrive such a convoluted mess. Here's a little bit more. 2 black countries on 2 different continents, abused and impoverished through colonization, are linked with one another, with one hired as the solution for the other. Here's, in addition to their regular salaries, Kenyan security forces sent to Haiti will receive between $1,100 and $1,500 per month. Their starting salary for a Haitian police officer is less than $200 a month.
Wait, what's all that 300 million going to? What is all that they're only getting paid?
That's the bribe part.
Oh.
Yeah. And here's Senator Edwin Sifuna says this to the Kenyan police. Here's what he says.
I want to speak to the Kenya police, my brothers and sisters in uniform. Those young children on the streets are not your enemies. The enemy is the one shipping you to Haiti. Despite the position of the people of Kenya that we do not support the deployment of police to Haiti, he is shipping off our police officers. And to add insult to injury, he's only paying them a fifth of what they were supposed to be paid on that particular mission. We are being told our police officers have been paid only 20,000 shillings to go to Haiti. Yet William Ruto was given $100 million by the US government for this particular mission. He is eating 80% of that money and sending you off to face those people in Haiti. And it is against the wishes of the people of Kenya. So I want our police officers to know that the public is not your enemy. We are fighting on the same side. Even here in Parliament, members of the police officers who work here were supposed to be added money, 20,000 shillings in addition to the allowances they receive here. Their boss came here and told them that they told the leadership of Parliament that if police officers working here are added money to their salaries, ati wataharibu kazi. And yet these people are working for the Republic of Kenya.
Wow, so that guy's going to be dead soon. I'm not even joking. Like that's risky, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, Kenyan, dissident figures and opposition figures have been under all kinds of threats. Some of them have been killed. Definitely, it's a hairy situation. I mean, there has been a fair amount of opposition from some political figures to this intervention, to sending Kenyan cops to Haiti. And I think, I mean, there was a snag back in February because when the former de facto prime minister, at that time the de facto prime minister Ariel Henry, was in power, and he left to go to Haiti he left Haiti rather to go to Kenya to sign a bilateral agreement, and he got then this whole the alliance of armed groups called Vivre Ensemble, Live Together, led by Cherizier. They went to the airport and basically were firing, so his plane couldn't land. He was forced to turn around. They suddenly couldn't. There was no there was no Haitian government to sign to. There was no existing Haitian government, even a fake one. So the Kenyan opposition was saying, how can you deploy the police to a country that doesn't even have a government? And so I don't think that was actually ever resolved. I think Ruto just forced it through, just said, yeah, we're sending them anyway, because now there's a new puppet government. But, there's no legitimacy to this at all.
So again, how do you see this? What do you see for the next 6 months? Do you think that we're ever going to send Marines there? Because that's what they're doing. They're sending these Kenyan thugs, these death squads, to Haiti in lieu of sending Marines, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is so little clarity and information provided. For one thing, the mission, the U.S. and the Kenyans have basically said nothing publicly, nor to the UN Security Council. I have sources in the UN Security Council who tell me that they're not telling us anything. They just, say we're gonna learn the lessons from the last UN peacekeeping mission. We're not going to make mistakes, but they don't say anything about rules of engagement. They don't say how long they're intending to be there. They don't say what they're going to be doing. Are they going to be just stationed at what they call critical infrastructure around the ports, around government buildings? Are they going to be going into the neighborhoods where these armed groups are and engaging them and fighting them? What are they even going to be doing? No one actually knows. And also, at least so far, the first group that arrived on Tuesday was 400 police. 400 police, I mean, these are Kenyan police who are going to embed with the Haitian police. That's not a whole lot. I mean, you're talking about, the estimates I've seen are several thousand, quote unquote gang members, armed members of armed groups. So what are 400 cops going to do who don't speak the language, who don't know the lay of the land, who are just, have no idea what they're doing? I mean, I don't see this going well. Even if they said they're going to get 2,500 police total from different countries, from several different countries, not only from Kenya. Even with 2,500, you need, the UN and military experts will tell you need like 4-to-1, 5-to-1 ratio to be able to have any kind of successful mission. So, they would need like, I don't know, tens of thousands to do this. And let alone the whole idea of waging a counterinsurgency, how completely failed that concept is, going back decades and decades of U.S. occupations all over the world. So, I mean, I don't know what these guys are going to be doing, but they are at a severe disadvantage. The whole thing seems extremely poorly planned and concocted. And I got to wonder if, those cops getting off the plane celebrating, I don't know if they have body bags, in their backpacks or what, but I don't think it's going to go well for them.
Dan, I appreciate you coming on. This is quite a story, and it's not going away. So I'm sure we'll have you back on to check to update us on this.
Could this affect our post-World War II rules-based order?
Everybody check out Dan Cohen at Uncaptured Media. And he's got his latest documentary is Haiti, Intervention versus Revolution. Thanks so much for your time, Dan. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Okay, over to Steph.
All right. Thank you, Jimmy. That interview was brilliant. I read that one. Papa Naya. Thank you, Pop Naya. Kenya got to pay them dues for being a NATO ally. Death squads are the blood offering. Hostile Boogie and Bound. Thank you, Hostile Boogie and Bound. Hey, Sherelle wants you to know that the full debate will be on X. RFK Jr. will be included. He'll answer the debate question in real time. Let's see how that goes down, Sherelle. I'm curious. The ambulance was called. They couldn't arrive because the angry mob was there, and the scene needed to be cleared for safety. This is Mike. It's strange to me how people worship this guy named Jesus. He was a great guy, sure, but there's a lot of great people, and we're meant to learn from and be inspired by them.
Why do you hate Jews?
Not worship them like gods. Hannah, sir. Thank you, Hannah, sir. Peter version 1 is at Peter version 1. Thank you, Peter version 1. Thank you again. And thank you. Back to Jimmy.
Ready?
Back to Jimmy.
themselves. They found a rabbi hole, tunnels and all. There's Jews in the walls. Isn't it bliss? The rabbinical grace soiling the mattresses. Well, let me tell you. If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
At this time, more than any other time, you know, revolution is necessary. It is necessary. Not only based on what has happened with the MOVE organization, you know, the babies that have been murdered, you know, MOVE adults that have been murdered, bombs being dropped on us, but past that to what is happening with all black people, so-called minority people, you know, money poor people. You know, this government, as has been said earlier, has waged war on us. But you know, something about us, particularly here in America, we don't really understand that. You know, we don't really know what war is. You know, for black people, for poor people, that people see as good, that they wasn't forced to do, that they didn't do to try to keep black people appeased, you know, and calm down so that black people wouldn't riot. A prison situation is a crystallized example of that. You can make phone calls in prison. They have movies in prison, but they don't have those things because they just want to be nice to prisoners. They have those things because they know damn well if they don't have, you know, people being able to contact their family, if they don't have, you know, facilities for people to sit there and watch movies, people are going to be frustrated, upset, and they're going to direct that frustration at them prison administrators, and they're going to have riots on their hands. You know, they're going to have people in them prisons turning them prisons out. That's why they have movies. That's why they have access to phones the way they do. And a stop to it when we don't like it, or encouraging it when it's something that's in our interest. You know, we have to call the shots. The people have to take the reins of this system and start dictating, you know, what we need, what needs to be done. And, you know, taking the initiative to do it ourselves. We can't rely on this system. I mean, you know, don't people see what's happening? Every single confrontation that MOVE people have been involved in, every single issue, you know, oppression, economic issues, every single issue facing our people, you know, is something that can be dealt with very, very simply. All people got to do is make their wishes known. All people have to do is stand up and say, listen, we're not accepting that. Unity is the key. Unity is the key to revolution. Revolution ain't nothing to be afraid of. It ain't nothing to shy away from. Revolution, contrary to what officials, you know, this system and those backing the officials running this system, you know, want people to believe that revolution means violence, you know, means blood in the street. I'm saying it can get to that point, but it don't have to be violent. You know, when people come together and take a strong stand on an issue, this government don't have no choice but to listen. Where you think they get their authority from? They don't have no power, but they do have authority to do certain things. Where you think they get it from? They get it from us, from the people. You know, they get it from us accepting the things that they do to be done to stop it, then you have some people who want to then turn around and say, yeah, well, you know, it's the best we have, and want to make excuses. The time for excuses is over. It's over. You know, every man, woman, and child has to be involved in this revolution. Not only has to be, but is, whether you want to be or not. I mean, our babies gave their lives for this revolution on May 13th. You know, men, women, and children were murdered. And not just move babies, you know. What about all of the young men, women, you know, children 8, 9 years old shot down on the street by cops, you know, by drug pushers? I mean, you know, where do you think that mentality comes from? It comes from this system, from the mentality of this system of getting over, you know, making a quick buck, you know. I'm saying that's where that needs to be done to stop it. Then, you know, what I want people to really, really understand is that it's past time. It is past time for poor people, black people, you know, to realize that this system has failed you. It has failed you. You can't get nothing from it. And what people got to do is withdraw our support from it and start doing for ourselves. That's what we got to do. You know, how long are people going to sit back and beg, you know, this government to do what's right when for hundreds of years all you've gotten is a slap in the face? All you've gotten is this government kicking your ass. That's all. That's all black people have ever gotten from this government.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit